This video is to assist you with Project 1.4. When you click on all Office versions for your start file, typically if you're in the Google Chrome web browser, it'll automatically populate in your left-hand corner and it's automatically going to your downloads folder. But I happen to be in Firefox, so I'm receiving this message open with. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on that so it'll populate my window. But make sure you click on yours to populate it in your window and then click on Enable Editing. And I always recommend to immediately go to File, Save As, Browse, then anywhere on your computer save it. And then rename it. Always rename it as the project name, which this one it happens to be 1.4. And you click on Save. Moving forward, all you need to do is, whenever you do a couple steps, up here at the left-hand corner, this is it looks like an old floppy disk, but this is your shortcut button to save. Because you already named it and you already gave it a location. So from this point moving forward, all you need to do is just click on Save. All right, so starting from at the beginning, last video we talked about clicking on the Page Layout tab and using this Themes command button. There are several different themes, which is a font style and a color scheme. So for this project, we're going to apply Slice. And you can see it just happens to be these names are not alphabetical. So once I apply the Slice format style, which is under the themes, now we're going to go to number 4. And number 4 wants us to edit some text. So I'm just going to blow this up so you can watch. And if I click on this cell, you can see by this name box, I'm in A2. And you know these two areas are grayed out. So you can either go up to the formula bar and backspace, or if you prefer, you can just edit within the cell itself. So I'm going to start typing out monthly sales by department. Now, when you're reading your set of instructions, two things must happen. You must have no typos, and if there's anything capitalized when you're reading it, make sure you capitalize it in your project. It is sensitive to that when it's self-grading. All right, they also want us to go down to D6. If you have a hard time lining it up, you can always go up into the name box up here and type D6 and press enter, and it will activate that cell for you. Now I'm going to double click it because they want us to edit it from 2250 to 1950. Remember always to press enter or use the check mark, which acts as an enter button also, and that'll accept the change. Now moving to number 5, when in the previous project, we selected a range and then on the Home tab we merged and center. Well, there's another technique you can use where instead of doing it line from line, you can do both titles at once. You select the range where you want to, with your white mouse pointer, where you want to center it across. Once you select that range per your instructions, which is A1 to F2, make sure in the Home tab, the alignment group, we'll go over here to the right and we're going to launch this dialog box with more commands. And under horizontal, we're going to select center across selection and select OK. Now, number 6, it wants us to delete this row here. It's always important whenever you're creating worksheets on the job not to use your delete key. It's always important to go up here and select delete the sheet row, or you could just right click over top of it and go to delete and it automatically deletes it for you. So you can see now it disappeared and everything shifts up. You always want to use that delete or the insert in terms of columns and rows. That way all your formulas and functions will automatically update. You won't have to manually go through and change everything. All right, now moving on to number 7, they want us to get used to using a fill handle. So first we need to select B3, and then as I'm showing this to you, this fill handle, so hopefully we are learning that our mouse pointer will change 3 times within a cell. If you're on the border edge of an active cell, you can see that mouse pointer changes to all those crosses, and that gives you the ability to, it's like a cut and paste type of feature. The other mouse pointer symbol is your white cross. That enables you to highlight an area, or if you go down to the bottom right hand corner and you hover over that green square, your mouse pointer will change to a black cross. And if you click and drag it across, now I'm going to auto fit, you can see what it's doing. So let me do that again with those columns a little bit wider. So I'm going to change my mouse pointer, drag it across, and you can see it recognized the 1. So if I click on this command button, which is autofill options, you can see that it used to fill the series, meaning it recognized the 1 and it knew to count up as it was moving to the right. You could have just copied it. If you selected this option, then it would have just copied week 1 all the way over. But if you fill it, it recognizes the pattern and it makes the required change. Like if you type January, then it'll update to February, March, April. So I know when you're doing your assignment, it's going to be a little cramped and you probably won't see it. But when you move on to number C, 7C, it's going to ask you to auto fit. And it'll tell you which cells to select. And auto fit is when you highlight to select them and you go up here and change your mouse pointer and you like this and you double click, it will automatically auto fit it. Or if you're on a home tab and you go to this drop down menu, you could select auto fit column width. It would have done the same thing. So you can use the menu, or what you can do is just change your mouse pointer and double click. And that will automatically increase the width of your column based on the amount of characters that need to be seen. So now we're going to go to number 8 and we're going to sum. So we'll get into this more next week, but with chapter 2. So what we need to do is just activate the cell where we're going to total. So you can see we're going to total week 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the apparel. So all this information here will return the sum in this empty cell, which is F4. So we're going to sum in this direction for these totals, and then we're also going to go to the bottom and we're going to sum for all of the different departments for week 1, week 2, week 3. So I'll just minimize so you can see what we're doing. All right, so I'm going to start up here in F4 and I'm going to go to formulas, and then this button right here, drop down, there's a shortcut button for a sum. You can see it already selects the range for you. So there's nothing you need to do, but I'll tell you what's going on inside. This is saying starting from B4 is the first cell, the last cell is E4, and the colon means in everything in between. So you can see we're here on row 4 and we're going from column B, C, D, and E. So we're going to sum up all 4 of those. And if we press enter, we get a result. Now this is when you have to now change your mouse pointer hover over this green square. You can either click and drag it down, or if you just double click, it automatically knows where to stop based on your last row. Now it gave you a 0 because it recognized the word total, but you'll see in your set of instructions it'll ask you only to copy down to this row 16. So it'll be F5 to F16. Then it'll ask you now to go over here and you're going to start, you'll sum it. That's correct. We went from row 4, all in column B, down to our row 16 and everything in between, and you press enter. And then you go back and hover over your green square, and then you just click and drag over, and then it copies it for week 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then also you're going to total all of the products for those 4 weeks. So far all we did was just show you how to use your sum function and how to copy that formula down for all the different departments, so per row, and then we went ahead and we summed our columns based on the different weeks and our total column. All right, so now if it tells you anything about a quick analysis button when you're reading your set of instructions, that would be, so if we were to highlight an area like this, you can even, like, there's another way of summing, like a region. As I highlighted information, you can see right here, this is a quick analysis button. It's just a shortcut button instead of going up here to your ribbon, your menu, to retrieve your different commands. So it's just a quick access, and you can see this one's totals, and then there's a sum button. Same exact thing as if you were going up here and using your sum function. So you'll find that it's going to use that. They'll use 2 different approaches in number 8. All right, so moving on to number 9. Number 9, now we're going to do some formatting. So let's start with A1 and A2. Now we're going to format these words, but if you click on A1, you can see that's where it's actually at. It's just centered across the selection feature. Same with this. If you look in the formula bar, that's where all that text is. So that's why we only need to highlight these 2 cells to change the font size of all that text. And we're going to change it to 18. But as you can see, we need to change the row height. So I'll click and drag on the 1 and 2, and I'll right click and select row height. And then I'm just going to type 24 in there, press enter, and gave it more height. Now they're going to ask us to go over top of all this stuff and apply bold emphasis. And then for this particular row, we're going to change it to, so let me click on the 3 with my left mouse pointer. Now with my right mouse pointer, I'm going to get my shortcut menu and select row height. And then this time I'm going to type in 18. And I'll select enter. So that changed the height of that row. Now it wants us to take this data here and we're going to center it. There's a center button. So, and actually I'm going to undo that because I think the centering is just, not the word department, it's just this stuff. Center that. And then we're going to apply from B4 down to F16. We're going to highlight this area, and then we're going to go up here to this comma and apply the comma style. And then we're going to go down to this row 17. And then these pound signs, if you go up here and change your mouse pointer and double click, it gave us more column width. But the reason why that was a problem is because we shouldn't have anything with a 0.00. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to decrease my decimals 1-2 times. So that took care of that also. Down at this row, they want to supply the accounting style, which is this dollar symbol here, the accounting number, or you could have selected it right here from this drop-down list, which is accounting. And then we also want to decrease 1 to the decimal places, so we don't have a 0.00 there. Okay, next they want us to highlight from A3 down to F17. And then we're going to go over here to all our borders and select all borders and apply those. And then lastly, we're going to go highlight over B to F. We're going to change the mouse pointer and double click, and it's going to go ahead and auto fit our columns. Okay, so now I'm going to have to go to a part 2 just for the last 5 minutes of this, and I'll also explain how to look through your errors.